It's Mark Medina with the LA Times Lakers blog. Lakers playing the Portland Trail Blazers tonight, and you know what that means. We're bringing in an esteemed guest. Matt Calkins from the Columbian covers the Portland Trail Blazers. What's going on?
Not much. You don't put the theme music. You edit the theme music on later, but I'm already bobbing my head as if that LA Times Lakers blog theme music is playing.
If you're hearing it right now, it's a pretty good song, isn't it?
Hey man, I'm surprised it hasn't gone global.
Yeah, it's. I think it's being sold on iTunes pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a couple of people auto-tune over it, so it's only a matter of time before it goes big.
Ron Artest was talking about maybe making it part of his mixtape and freestyling over it, but that's a conversation for another day. I got to ask you a quick question here. Am I allowed to look ahead to the playoffs? Because I know that's been a question that Nate McMillan's been asked, and he said he doesn't want to look ahead, but can we look ahead?
Nate McMillan has given the moderate okay to look ahead. Not too far. I mean, he is the quintessential one-game-at-a-time coach, but he's at least accepted the fact that they are in the playoffs. He's acknowledging that. He even acknowledged a modicum of satisfaction for getting in, given all this team has been through all season long. But make no mistake, the way that this team has galvanized and pushed forward over the past couple months, despite all the injuries early on, they're not taking solace in the fact that they're in the postseason. They are convinced that they can actually make a run, and I don't think that that is a train of thought that is too far off.
Do you think they can make a run? How far are you seeing them going?
I am seeing them going home very quickly if they draw the Lakers, possibly in 4 games. I am seeing them possibly get into the second round. I think it's the Mavericks. This is a team that matches up very well with Dallas. Rule number 1 in sports, unless you're George Karl, who recently said that you'd like to draw the Mavericks over the Thunder, is you don't say who you want to match up against. It's just sort of this unwritten rule. People think that it gives other teams motivation. They're going to put it on the bulletin board, the locker room, whatever they put stuff on these days. And nobody wants to say that we do want Dallas. If the Blazers do get the Mavericks, their interior defense matches up very well with Dallas's lack of post-game. Andre Miller can guard a slower Jason Kidd. Brandon Roy wouldn't be as exposed on defense as he would against other teams. And there is an almost 50% chance. The fact that they don't have home court advantage prevents them from saying 50% or better, but an almost 50% chance they can take down the Mavs and get to the second round, which would be everything to this franchise, in my opinion, just showing signs of progress, getting to the second round.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that teams, there's this unwritten rule that they don't want to talk about who they want to face, and I wanted to find out some answers. So I asked some of the Lakers, who do you think would be the toughest first-round opponent? I actually asked this question, and I didn't even realize this, but I asked this question twice to Phil Jackson. And the second time he got annoyed and said, yeah, that question's already been asked. I'm not going to talk about it. Just got shut down. I tried to go to some players. As soon as we went on the record, they was like, oh, we're just looking ahead to XX game. Going off and saying, okay, well, what if I give you some anonymity, And some of them still refused to bite, but some of them did. And the consensus was that they're both equally concerned as far as the biggest challenge that a first-round opponent would give them would be either Memphis or Portland. And then I found Magic Johnson in the hallway at the Staples Center. And I pulled him to the side and asked him, who do you think would be the most challenging first-round opponent that the Lakers could face? And he said the Portland Trail Blazers because of the hate factor. What do you make of it?
Wait, hold on a second. That was you who drew that out of Magic? Because I've seen that quote. You're telling me that was the byproduct of Mark Medina, quote-unquote, pulling him aside.
That was an exclusive scoop.
Wow. To be honest, as interested in Magic's answer as I was, I'm more interested in your tactic in pulling him aside. What did you do exactly? What was your approach?
I just talked to him. I mentioned how I was at one of his red carpet events last year after the Lakers won a championship, and he remembered me interviewing him, and I said, hey, well, Magic, I got a question for you. And we're walking toward the elevator, and I asked him what he thought, and he was as open as can be. He said that the Lakers are definitely, he thinks would have no problem winning and advancing, but he thought that Portland's experience and the fact that the teams don't like each other would make it definitely a more competitive series. So he was as honest as can be, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good honesty out of him, especially after everyone else didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a couple things with Portland. They've had some extremely close games with the Lakers this season. Wesley Matthews, the Blazers shooting guard, said that they could easily be 2-1 against LA this year. Remember, they blew a fourth quarter lead thanks to Kobe Bryant. Obviously, it's nothing new for the Mamba when he, led the Lakers to a comeback and scored the final 4 points of regulation. They won an OT, broke everyone's heart at the Rose Garden, and Kobe also brought him back in the most recent meeting at Staples Center, where the Blazers led late in the fourth quarter. But I would go ahead and throw those games out because, as we know, the Lakers are a completely different team in the postseason, where they win 4 of their last 11 games last year before going to the playoffs and route to a championship. So I would throw those games out to a certain extent, but there certainly is a history between these two teams. Dating back to the 90s, dating back to the 2000 series where Kobe and Shaq came all the way back in the fourth quarter for the Lakers' first title run with that group. And we've seen it just this collective loathing for the Lakers among Portland Trailblazers fans. I mean, this is the most loathed team in the league, I would say, across the board, the Lakers are. But something about Portland fans really despises them. I mean, there's a respect factor, obviously, but it's such a rabid fan base, and they get so behind this team, a team that really embraces physicality and diving on for loose balls and muscling people up and not being pushed around. And yeah, I can definitely see them giving the Lakers a headache. I don't think they'd be the favorite. I think the Lakers are the last team Portland would want to face, but I'm not looking forward to the matchup against the Blazers as much as it would be against the Grizzlies or the Hornets if I'm LA.
And you actually said that the chances that Portland would have even beating the Lakers would be 5%, but on paper it would actually be 0%. They have no shot whatsoever.
And that goes for any kind of fabric, not just paper. It can be on cardboard. It can be, on a tabernacle, whatever. That is any sort of surface. Any sort of surface. Yeah.
All you're saying is the Lakers.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, with Bynum coming back and playing as well as he is, I mean, he's playing phenomenal right now. I mean, I don't have to tell Laker fans that. With Gasol and Mario in that front line, match with Kobe, and, the depth that the Lakers have, I think Portland would just be undermatched or overmatched in the post. And given just the Lakers' history, I mean, something would have to go extremely wrong for the Lakers, maybe an injury or Brandon Roy just rediscovers his old self and starts dropping 30 a game. But outside of something incredibly anomalous, I don't see Portland beating the Lakers in the 7-game series.
We're speaking with the Columbian's Matt Calkins. You can follow him on Twitter at Blazer Banner, or you can follow me because I always retweet whatever he tweets anyway. But Blazer Banner on Twitter. And before we get even more into the playoffs, you mentioned something that was very interesting about how Portland just hates the Lakers. The fans hate the Lakers. What do they hate them about the Lakers the most?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, what they hate most, I don't know if there's one thing. There is certainly a stereotype that goes beyond, just Portland's impressions towards the Lakers of cockiness, of arrogance, of entitlement, of a fair-weather fan base that we both know is untrue. I grew up in Southern California, lived there for 28 years. I see the 405 in May and June, the Lakers flags flying everywhere. I know how much their fan base cares about their team regardless of how they're doing. But I think there's a lot of people that, don't think the fans are supportive. They just think they're cocky. But, you also got to remember the history between these two teams. I mean, back in 1991, when the Lakers went to the finals, Magic Johnson had that play where there was the missed shot, and he got the rebound and threw it all the way down court and took like 9 seconds off the clock, and the crowd went crazy. He's one of the smartest basketball players ever, and the Lakers bounced the top-seeded Blazers from the playoffs in 91, go on to face the Bulls, and they lose. There's the 2000 matchup where Reggie Miller even said tonight, if you were watching that game between Utah and Portland, that his Pacers were ready to play the Blazers. Reggie was, scrounging around looking for tapes on Scottie Pippen and Steve Smith, thinking that was an inevitable matchup, and the Lakers go on this magical run where they climb back from 15 points down, takes a Brian Shaw banked in three-pointers, and Kobe to Shaq alley-oops, and really one of the most impressive / heartbreaking runs in NBA playoff history. And once again, the Blazers are the victims. So not only have they been Western Conference foes with the Lakers, watching their success, this championship-starved city waiting for a title for the first time in 34 years has had to watch the Lakers win them repeatedly, but not just win them repeatedly, but at their expense, as they're bouncing them. So you can certainly understand the animosity. If you see egos like Kobe and Phil Jackson, I'm not saying they're bad guys, but there is an ego to both of those. You can see how it rubs Blazers fans the wrong way.
Totally understandable. Now, you mentioned the Blazers playing Utah tonight. They beat them. And we've been talking about how you think the Blazers need to avoid the Lakers. If the season ended now, they would. They'd be playing Dallas. I'm looking at the standings. They're only a game ahead of New Orleans. They're, 2.5 games behind Denver. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. I don't. Not only do I not know what's going to happen with the Blazers, I don't know what's going to happen with the Mavericks. Because you look at that schedule, Oklahoma City is all of a sudden a 1 game behind Dallas, and there's 4 games left. And the way Dallas is struggling, you can certainly see Oklahoma City catching them. So nothing is shown. A 6th seed by no means guarantees a matchup with Dallas for Portland. So I would say they just got to keep winning, first of all, in terms of what they have to do. It's hard for me to say, though. I don't know. I know from here on in, they got the Lakers, they got the Grizzlies, and they got the Warriors one more time on the road, and they always give them trouble. But in the Western Conference, the bottom of the standing is so close, and there's such a cluster that it's really hard for me to predict. But I think that Portland has risen to the occasion most times this year. And I would say right now, considering they do control their own destiny, that the most likely scenario is that they wind up in the 6th seed. I don't know what's going to happen between Dallas and Oklahoma City, though. But I would predict right now, life on the line, Dallas, Portland, first round.
Gotcha. Well, now, since the Lakers are visiting Portland for the next game, one of the things that Kobe has often said when the Lakers have been playing, a team that they could see in the playoffs, is that this is a good measuring stick game. I know you mentioned that by all accounts, Portland needs to avoid playing the Lakers. But as far as this matchup goes, what type of things in terms of that measuring stick that Kobe mentions in general terms can Portland take out of it?
Let me get back to the measuring stick real quick. Kobe, I don't know, man. I mean, he said that, but like I mentioned, the Lakers went 4-7 their last 11 games. I mean, 2 years ago, the Blazers went 11-1 before starting the playoffs, and they got bounced in the first round. I mean, people talk about statement games and measuring sticks, and, well, this is going to show us where we stand, but part of me thinks that's a bunch of crock, because if the Blazers went 11-1 before the start of the playoffs 2 years ago, and they get bounced in the first round, the Lakers go 4-7 and are losing teams like the T-Wolves. I don't remember exactly who they lost to, but it was a very unimpressive finish to the regular season last year, and then go on to win the championship. I don't know. I really don't know how much these games mean. I mean, I want to say just to build up the hype and the suspense and the drama that it does mean a lot, but I don't know. We'll see. I think the Blazers do want to get one win against the Lakers. They were very satisfied in finally getting one win against the Thunder, despite losing 3 close games before finally getting them at the Rose Garden the other night. But maybe it's something they have to prove to themselves. I don't know, but I think some of that stuff is hyperbolized when it might mean a lot less than we think it does.
So you're saying that Kobe lied to me when he said that?
Kobe once said, when I asked him, in a press conference, that, he doesn't really care, how people view him. He doesn't care where his place is in history or being viewed as the greatest player of all time. Kobe's one of the biggest liars in NBA history when he's asked about what certain games mean to him. We know what drives that guy. We know he wants to be the best. We know he wants to be the unquestionably best player in the league. He wants to pass Jordan. He's tired of the comparisons to LeBron. Come on. This guy, he knows what the media wants to hear from him. He said he didn't care about beating the Celtics versus any other team last year. Did anybody in the world believe that, including, his own family? I doubt it. Come on. Kobe's a liar. Yeah, I'm calling Kobe a liar.
The next day I wrote a post saying how I didn't believe him 1 second, and that he made the Boston series as exciting as watching paint dry.
Wow. That's a pretty original comparison. You thought of that yourself?
No, I think I stole it from one of your stories, but
at least you didn't take it one game at a time.
Right, for sure. Now, you're looking at a few games remaining with Portland. I know that you said it's what these games, they don't mean much, but what are your some of the concerns as far as from a personnel standpoint regarding the Blazers before the postseason begins?
Well, Brandon Roy is the incessant X factor with the Blazers. We saw him go 5 of 8 or 6 of 9 tonight. I forget what the exact stat was. He looked really good. He hit his first 4 shots. He's clearly lost some mobility, and I'm not sure that will ever return, but his skill set is so refined that he's still able to create space on offense and get shots up. It's just a matter of whether his knees will be able to hold up. 3 times in Brandon Roy's career, he has failed to make a field goal. 2 of those have happened since March 22nd. So obviously he's struggling a little bit. So they're going to need Brandon to be not the Brandon of old, but a solid supplement for them to do something. And then there's Rudy Fernandez, of course, who is the supposed 3-point threat for the Blazers, but is shooting like 32% from deep and has really failed to capitalize on stretching the offense. So those 2 guys are going to have to be playing close to the best they can if the Blazers are going to do something. In terms of other personnel, Gerald Wallace has incorporated himself beautifully into this lineup. I pointed out a couple days ago that before they acquired him, they were 8-19 against playoff-bound teams. Since getting him, they're 9-5, and I don't think that's a coincidence at all. I mean, he really escalates the energy. He sustains the energy with this team, and he's one of those guys that you don't want to let down. And LaMarcus Aldridge has just been consistent all year. I think he has a chance of getting on one of the All-NBA teams. He just has to close out the season strong.
Now, one of the things that really stood out to me the last time the Lakers played Portland is that they pretty much dominated the Lakers' second chance points, and that was led by Marcus Camby. But he had a little bit of a neck strain Tuesday against Golden State, and how's he going to look against the Lakers? Is he going to be all right and ready to go?
This will be the final time I ask this, but will I have to lay down a beat or something, or would you just start freestyling spontaneously if it were to happen?
I was just going to let you go a cappella.
Fair enough. We're just going to battle, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Marcus Camby had more than a little bit of a neck strain. I mean, if you watch that replay, he went up to the rebound. His head hitting the ground was gruesome enough. And then David Lee landed right on his neck. It really messed him up a little bit. Hopefully, Blazers fans are hoping he plays tomorrow. But this is a guy that, at this point in his career, has pretty much committed himself to 20 games on the sideline. I mean, he always finds a way to make himself up a little bit. You can see Nate McMillan not really cringing, but, biting his tongue when he's talking about the way Marcus Camby dives for loose balls. I mean, he's playing like he's 19 years old, or 16 years old trying to impress the varsity coach, diving to the ground. And, in some ways it's refreshing, but at the same time, he's probably got to be a little bit more conservative knowing how much he means to this team. And before he got hurt Tuesday night, he had 8 rebounds in the first 10 minutes of the game. And once he went out, you kind of saw the Blazers derail a little bit. So he's essential to this team. Even if he's not putting up points, just his presence, his ability to alter shots to get rebounds is monumental to Portland's success.
Those are the thoughts of the Columbians, Matt Calkins. I appreciate all your time. We'll have to save the freestyle for another day.
Maybe for the playoff series. For the playoff series, second round. To Toronto.
Sounds good.
All right, man. I think it's going to be second round. I'm seeing Blazers Lakers second round. I think it might happen.
All right. Well, we'll make it happen then.
Yeah. All right, Mark.